Folks, it's Friday. Welcome to the end of your week. Well done. And if it's not the end of your week, then thank you for keeping us going over the weekend. You make the world go round. We love you very much. If you like what I do, the subscribe button is down below. If you really like what I do, the Patreon button is also down below. Well, not really the Patreon, it's more of a link. Go there, subscribe at any amount, and you can get me, you can get early access. You can't get me, but you can get early access to all of my videos, at least the day before they come out, and you get first dibs on all Q&A questions that we're going to do every single week, which is, I think, really, really cool. So, fun fact, I've been at work for days now, and when I say being at work, I mean like being at work, like it has been quite busy. So I've not had time to go over these hobby nightmares before we start today. I have had them picked out for me as good ones from the pack. So let's dive into the hobby mailbag and have a look-see, shall we? Grab yourself a hot beverage, sit down, end of the week. Bloodraven93 says, well, I wonder what army you play, and I wonder what year you were born in. He says, hi North, hope you're doing well. Recently came across your channel, and I've so far loved listening to your Hobby Nightmare videos, so I thought I'd send you one of mine. If you could use my Discord name, which I have done, there we go. Nightmare Warhammer Chad versus Chavs. Okay, so a Chav in the UK is essentially, if you're American and you've seen any videos of people with tracksuits on, you know, acting like dicks, essentially, and some of them don't have very many teeth. They're basically our version of yokels, you know. Anyway, I've been going to my local games workshop for about 15 years. I've made many lifelong friends in the hobby, but unfortunately, you get bad interactions on occasions, and this has to be the worst one. But also, the one I gained a huge amount of respect for, the sales assistant and manager. Well, that's good. At least you had a nice part of the story. The manager, we'll call him Jack, and the sales assistant, we'll call him Sam, had a rule that the shutters only go down if it's lunchtime, closing time, or something bad has happened and they need to keep customers safe. This will be important later. Okay. Well, I'm hoping it doesn't all go absolutely, you know, tits up, but we'll see. I was playing my Black Legion against another player, can't remember his name, who had Imperial Guard. There was another kid who had autism painting an Ultramarines captain, who is about 13, and he'll also be important later. This store was based in a quite rough area, and being in a big shopping centre, we'd get frequent visits from local chavs looking to verbally abuse customers and staff, knock stuff over, and generally be a nuisance and waste the staff's time. On this occasion, the manager had gone to get himself and Sam lunch. About 10 minutes after Jack left, a group of 4 chavs walked in. Me and my opponent just kept playing, hoping they'd let us get on with it, while Sam kept an eye on them. Okay. Unfortunately, the 4 approached our table and started trying to get under our skin. They started knocking over my opponent's models by moving his basilisk tank. Yeah, that's it. That's it. We're done. We're done. Do not touch my models without being given explicit permission. That basilisk tank is going right up the person's arse. I'm sorry. Like if chavs come over to your table or you know normies come over to your table and are making fun of the hobby, I've seen it happen before. They're making fun of the hobby. They come over. They want to get in your face. They want to start messing around with the game. That's fine. Talk to me. Touch my models, though, without me asking you. You're getting a slap. You're getting a slap. The reason why you're getting a slap is because unlike a normal person, like a normal hobbyist, if a normal hobbyist picks up my model by the base to have a little look at it, that's a faux pas, but it's not like a oh my god, you know, this is an encroachment on my space kind of a thing. If you're coming over being aggressive, and you pick up one of my models like it's nothing with your grubby little hands, I'm slapping you in your face. I'm slapping you in your face. Like there's just no... I'd rather be without that model, but get to slap you in your face. I know that sounds really extreme, but it's not. Like, honestly. Honestly. It's only ever happened the once. Only ever happened the once, and I wasn't working at a Games Workshop at the time. I was actually working in a local store. And I think I spoke about this store quite a few times about when I came home and started working at a local store. Anyway, I wasn't sacked, by the way. It was just one of those where somebody picked up a group of kids, came in about 16, 17, messing around, being arseholes, picked up one of my models which was on a display board when I asked them not to, and started just taking the piss with it basically. Basically, I walked over. It was a Primaris Marine captain. I didn't care about it. I slapped it out of his hand and told him to get out the shop. Literally slapped it right out of his hand, right onto the floor. I'd rather be without that model and fuck you off than actually have that model. Do you know what I mean? Never saw them again. There you go. Never saw them again. But if you pick up one of my models, I'm not going to react this way. Do you know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. Unless you're already being aggressive and I know you're doing it to be a bully, and you're putting your hands on the paint part of my model, yeah, dude, you're getting a slap. You're getting a slap. Anyway. One of them then decided to start trying to pick up my codex. I dealt with a lot of shitheads in college, so he had to try to pick it up. I slammed my hand down and sternly said, "Keep your hands off my stuff." Thankfully, he backed off after that. Yeah, mate, bullies always do. Bullies always do. The minute you give them any sort of comeback, they don't want to know. They don't want to know, right? It's the same with every single bully I've ever come across in my life. Even my old GW manager, the second I had power that I was going to get my own store, the second he knew he couldn't get rid of me, he was the sweetest guy in the world to me. Bullies don't like it, right? Because he knew I had the power to tell him to fuck off. Bullies don't like it at all. Just give it them straight back. If you get any sort of bullying behaviour, give it them double back. I do double back. If you're nice to me, I am doubly nice to you. Not in an overly horrible way, but in a nice way. I'm literally I'm your mate. Right? I'm with you, man. You're a good person, right? If you're horrible to me, you get it back twice. If you're a bully to me, you get it back twice. It's the only way to live your life, man. It really is. He and his friends turned to the 13-year-old autistic kid painting. Of course they did. Easy target. Easy target. Here we go. The main chav started flicking the kid's paintbrush as he was trying to paint, causing the kid to get visibly upset. Sam starts to walk towards them, the staffer, and asks them to leave the kid alone and to stop bothering customers. As he says this, the main chav grabs a small craft knife left on the table the kid was using earlier and starts to poke the kid with it. Yeah, this dude's getting slammed. Dude, if this kid... I'm going to carry on. I think me and Sam must have seen red at the same time, because I grabbed this guy's hand and threw the craft knife away across the wall. Across to the wall. As I do this, Sam runs up to the main chav and punches him square in the face. The main chav's mates run off, and Sam drags the guy who had the knife out of the shop and pulls the shutters down before he can try to get back in. While I make sure the autistic kid is alright, even with the shutters down, the main chav is shouting verbal abuse at us and banging on the window. Mate, he's only banging on the window because he knows you're not going to come out. As if you go over to those shutters and you start to pick them up, he runs away. It's what bullies do. It's what bullies do. Cue the manager returning. A couple of minutes after the shutters were pulled down, Jack, the manager, came round the corner with the McDonald's he'd bought for Sam and him. What a chad of a manager. What a chad of a manager. I'm going to Mackie D's, man. Do you want anything? Sure, man. Get me a chicken legend. Thank you very much. Wow, I'm working for Games Workshop and my manager is getting me a fucking McDonald's. Dude, this is what I mean. Working at Games Workshop's the best job in the world. If you can find somebody who's going to, pull you through, who's going to understand that it's just a retail job. Oh, you lucky bastard. Remember earlier when I said the shutters only go down if something bad happens and they need to keep customers safe? Well, Jack saw the shutters down and the 20-year-old chav shouting verbal abuse and banging on the window and put two and two together. Jack immediately started shouting at the guy, saying, "What the hell did you do?" and chased him away from the shop. After calming the autistic kid down, I bought him a replacement captain and paints, as his paints were knocked over during the confrontation, and told him I'd help him paint his new captain when he's built it. To this day, I can't wrap my head around it. These guys weren't in high school, They were 19 to 20-ish. What psycho 20-year-old picks on and threatens a 13-year-old kid? It's bad enough threatening someone your own age, but threatening a harmless kid? There's some fucked up people in the world. I agree, man. I agree. I completely agree. I've always had respect for the guys that work in Games Workshop shops, but Sam was an absolute chad for what he did. I know punching customers isn't exactly store policy, but when it comes to people trying to cause harm to others, I think HQ turned a blind eye because Sam wasn't fired. And just a few months after, of his own accord, he left to work in tech. The shop moved to the outskirts of town a few years later. They said it was because rent in the shopping centre was going up, but I'd like to think another reason is to keep customers safe and away from the nutters who lurk around the centre. All the best, North. Cheers, man. Yeah. If you defend a customer with physical violence, like HQ are not going to fire you. You know, they will do an investigation, like a thorough one. They would ask people what happened. You know, but like, especially if that person has a knife. If that person has a knife, and you stop them from harming people with a knife, they're not firing you, right? Even GW aren't that mad. They're not. Right? They want to keep customers safe. They want to make sure people are coming into the store. If somebody's walking around with a craft knife stabbing people, not the best rep, is it? Obsidian Rocker says, "Hey North, just writing in a quick D&D story for you." Oh, brilliant. A little horror, a little comedy. A classic Greek tragedy, if you will. Okay. This story isn't very long for a D&D story. Let's see how it goes. Our story takes place during the low-level module of Lost Mines of Phandelver. The party was level 4 or 5 at the time, and we were up against Venomfang. For those of you who haven't played the module, Venomfang is a young green dragon with a challenge rating of 8. Normally, during this encounter, the goal isn't to kill Venomfang, just to get just to get it down to half HP, where it then retreats. That day, however, we were on fire. Everyone was rolling well, doing good damage with the magic weapons our generous DM gave us. Except for myself, that is. I was playing a Beastmaster Ranger, with a long-range sniper archery fighting style, and an owl companion for scouting. That's a pretty good combination. Unlike the rest of the party, however, my luck was on the opposite end of the spectrum. Neither myself nor my owl could hit a single one of our attack rolls. Oh my god. Not a single one. Everyone was carrying their weight. Not surprising since the party consisted of heavy hitters such as a paladin, warlock, barbarian and cleric. Then it happened. My ranger and the owl spent the entire fight out of range of the dragon, taking no damage until the party, battered and bruised, managed to get Venomfang on the ropes, down to 1 HP. My ranger rolled his attacks, both misses. No surprises there. Then the owl attacked. Finally, a hit. The owl dealt it 1 HP of damage. And the DM asked, "How does Venomfang die?" If looks could kill, I would not be here today. I bet the entire table is looking at you like, fuck this guy. The DM sat cackling as everybody else at the table started throwing insults at my character and his fucking owl. That's really funny. Thankfully, our group is all friends outside of D&D, so it was all in good jest. But I reckon there was a hint of genuine salt behind those insults. Of, I'm gonna strangle that fucking owl. and my elven ranger's girly hands that only picked up a bow last week. The moral of the story is don't underestimate birds. Hopefully you found this story a little funny. Thanks. Yeah, that was good. I like that one. The fucking owl. High Fleet Kalish says, "Hello, North. I recently sent you a short story about a guy threatening to commit seppuku in my backyard when I was playing 40k. To this day, I had been the only one there. I also find it hard to believe, but it really happened. Didn't happen out of nowhere. There were circumstances that led to this guy having a mental ice-fueled breakdown." Okay. So, have I read that one before? I don't think I have. Anyway, This happened in 2014, and I was thinking about how this seemed to be my hobby nightmare year, as I have another one. Alrighty. So, I used to hang out with a pretty intense bloke. Whenever we went out on the grog, he was a little too intense. When not drinking, he was fine, but I could see he was an early alcoholic drug addict in the making. Because whenever we hung out sober, I could see him getting a bit shaky, and he would smoke a lot. His body was just waiting to get on, and by the afternoon, all he could think about was making plans to get some beers and other materials. Let's call him Sam. Well, this guy sounds like a delight. Now, aside from this, Sam was a really funny, genuine bloke, and a huge gamer. He didn't have any Warhammer, but when we met through other friends at a party at my house, I showed him my Warhammer collection, and he loved it. He started coming over to play games. I was looking after a friend's Imperial Guard army, so we alternated for a while. He would play my Tyranids or the Guard. It was just really getting him into the basics of gameplay, really. For me, it was more about just having a game and practicing. I was very busy at university at the time, so having anyone to play with me was a bonus. I was attempting to convert him to the hobby as well. Well, this is all going very well. Anyway, last time I hung out with Sam, we played some Warhammer, my friend's group slang for... We played some Hammer, sorry, my friend's group slang for Warhammer, and he convinced me to help him score some nasal supplements for the evening. You know, the powdered form. I did have some contacts back then. Okay, bloody hell. Got your ear to the ground. We enjoyed our supplements that evening and then went out. You calling this guy a drug addict and you're just snorting stuff up your nose? Ugh, Kalish, you degenerate. Sam always wanted to go to the Cross. It's the King's Cross pub in Sydney. Back then it was an absolutely nefarious place. The clubs were off the Richter scale. The streets were literally dangerous. There was fighting all the time, and it was a crime mecca. A few years later, there was not just one too many king hits, guys getting sucker punched in the back of the head, and too many deaths and permanent injuries, that the Australian government stepped in and enacted the lockout laws, which were basically a curfew at 10 p.m. The clubs could not open 24/7 anymore, and no venue could let anyone in after 10. People stopped going, and Sydney's nightlife died overnight. But that's irrelevant to this story. Yeah, I mean, if you can't behave, that's what they'll do. I mean, they'll generally take it away. And, you know, if they're getting tons of crime that's costing them a lot of money, can't really blame them. But there's always a few dickheads who spoil it for everybody else, you know what I mean? Like in my local town, we used to have amazing Christmas decorations until drunks started climbing the main tree in the town square, knocking things off, and nearly killing themselves. Then it all got scrapped, and we can't do that anymore because of some fucking drunks. Yeah, go fuck yourself. So, Sam and I hit the Cross. And I'm a bit hesitant because the last couple of times have ended pretty poorly for me. Nothing major, just a bit sour. Just not nice ways to end the night. We are bar hopping till the early morning, and I am actually having fun this time around. At some point, Sam gets us into a spot of trouble, of course. Some very aggro guys are trying to bash us, so they chase us. Okay. We weave in and out of alleyways, and these other dudes give up. We slow down and contemplate our next move, and I walk between two parked cars in a gloomy street. A rotten smell assaults my senses, and I grab both cars before I step off the curb. There's a woman squatting between both cars, laying some cable. Oh no. Pinching a loaf. Having a meeting with the governor. I've never heard it described as having a meeting with the governor. I'm using that one next time. I've got a meeting with the governor. Obviously, she's been on the nasal supplements herself. I don't know what your experiences are in that regard, Exile, but coke bogs are something else, okay? Sam bumps into me, and we both almost fall into the lady, but I manage to hold him. I step away in disgust, saying things like, "Oh my god," etc. Sam looks at me saying, what the F is wrong with you? Then he turns to look at this woman looking up at him. In the space of a second, he steps forward, squinting, figures out what she's doing, and immediately reacts, "Oh, you fucking skank." Then he punched her square in the face. all, I, all I remember is her legs flying back as her... All I remember is her legs flying back as her knees went over her head with underpants around her ankles. To this day, I still laugh in absolute horror. When I later asked him on the train ride home what had happened, he just said, "I don't know what came over me, eh?" I saw Sam a few more times after that, but I stopped going to the cross with him, that's for sure. Thanks, Exile. Have a good one. Jesus Christ. There's been some really shitty stories today, pardon the pun. But yeah, thank you for watching Hobby Nightmares. I'll be back on Sunday for some more hobby talk, where we're going to be answering some questions and going over some general hobby life advice and what the hell's going on with the hobby these days. And then next week, on Tuesday, we'll be getting into some Age of Sigmar lore, where we're going to rewrite the entire Age of Sigmar setting. I know. We'll see how that goes. And also, on Monday, we'll be continuing with some more Games Workshop stories. Or I may switch to more Hobby Nightmares, because we're getting quite a few of those in now. If you want any of your Hobby Nightmares read before the end of the month, then please make sure you send them in over the weekend, and I'll get them read for you next week. And also, if you're getting any models... Oh, let me just get that up there. Composite Games are still doing 5% off at checkout if you use the promo code Northern Exile down below. They already give you 20% off most of their models that are on the site, so that's 25% off most of their Games Workshop stock if you use the promo code Northern Exile down below. Not only do you get some money off, but you also help the channel out as well. And the turnaround for models is 7 to 14 days, no matter where you are in the world, right? There should be something on there saying if they can't deliver to you. But if you're in the US, Australia, New Zealand, and anywhere in between, you can now get international shipping. So head over to Composite Games, help out the channel, and make sure you're giving these guys some support, because they really do help us out quite a lot. Alright? Love you all a long time. Speak to you over the weekend. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday. Have a good one. Bye.